Hey there, how is everyone doing today? Um, thank you. Thank you all for being here yesterday. It was a super fun day. I had a great time, and I realized that I needed to I needed to be doing this because it it's one of those things that excites me to see how it works for people and to hear what people have to say because I had a lot of very cool comments. I had a lot of questions that came up. And so I just wanted to take 1 second to talk about that. Hang on, let me let a couple more people in. And if you're on Facebook, thank you for being there. If you're live here and I appreciate you can hear me now, can't you? Don't even get me going about technology. I only do this every day, right? All right, let me start over there since I was just chatting away. One of the things that we talked about yesterday was when we have spouses who are not, or spouses, partners, doesn't matter, someone else in the house who's not on board, right? Those people who are not on board with us, and how are we going to handle it? And so the reason I'm laughing is because this morning I'm talking to my partner he's been home for a year, right? And I mentioned yesterday that he had all kinds of junk in the house. So yesterday I said to him, I said, "What do you need from the store?" I'm making an order. He said, "I need snacks." And I looked at him and I like deadpanned without even thinking. I said, "You know what? Whole Foods doesn't have snacks. I'm sorry." And he looked at me really funny, and then he was like, "Okay, get it. I don't need the crap that I've been eating." And I said, "You're right." Because he has been. He's been like chowing down on junk. So I had to share that with y'all this morning. I thought that was pretty good. So what we talked about yesterday, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, we talked about what I call a runway, or the fact that you need a plan. Okay. Don't do what I did the first time. You need a plan when you do this, because when you have a plan, it just makes everything easier. And when you have a plan and you have the tools, it makes everything so much easier. It's the thing to do. So if you weren't here yesterday, I'm not gonna redo all of this, because I know that a lot of people that are on today were here yesterday. Just go back and listen to that day one video. Okay. It's not long. It's not long at all. And so think about it. You need a plan. And then once you have a plan, you need to get educated. Okay. And when I say educated, what I'm thinking about is you need to have the tools, the tactics, all those things that you need in your back pocket to be able to pull out and do when you're doing this, because otherwise it becomes one of those things that it becomes harder to do. So, all right. So you want a plan, you want a tactic, you want your education. Next thing is, and this is where it gets fun, I'm going off the reservation. My team just loves it when I do this, but I am, because if you read the email that I talked about this morning, or that we sent out this morning, it said we're talking about blatant and hidden sugars. The truth is we talked about that a little bit yesterday. We're going to circle back to that at the end. But what I really want to be talking about today, more than anything, is what I call triggers. Because when you can change your brain, okay, um, which triggers trigger your brain, okay? When you can change your brain, then you can change your habits. And when you change your habits, then you change everything. And this isn't all about like, oh, you need to, I don't know. There's some great habit books out there, but yeah, I'm not gonna be the person who tells you how to change your habits. I'm going to be the person who tells you how to work around worrying about changing your habits, because I can tell you habit change, if you look at it, can be, and I've read all the books, it can be kind of too much stuff. Okay. Just like too much stuff. So we're going to work around that. Okay. And I just want to acknowledge everyone for being here, because the truth is that when you change the way you interact with sugar, whether it's in food or junk food or snacks or wine or fruit, too much, whatever, when you change the way you interact with sugar, then you're going to change a lot of things in your life. Like you're going to have more energy. You're going to be clearer headed. You just are. You're going to sleep better. Like I have personal guinea pig proof that you're going to sleep better, because I track myself with this. I talked about it yesterday. I got this little thing called an Aura ring. It's nothing more than a tracker, right? And one of the things it tracks is my sleep. And I will lay my results on how well I sleep versus my results of when I'm not having any sugar. I can put them side by side and see exactly that there's a difference. Your complexion will get better. You get what I call the Zoom complexion. So the Zoom complexion, I don't know if anyone else does this, but on Zoom, they've got this nice little filter that says, make me look better. Honest to goodness, I went outside the other day and I was like, oh, I need the Zoom piece. But you'll feel better. And you know what? Other people have gotten off of medication. They get better. Like they feel better. They like literally joint wise, they feel better. So all those things happen. And I'm telling you that because I'm kind of like preaching to the choir, right? But at the same time, I just want everyone to be super engaged in why you want to do this, because it makes a difference. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but that makes a difference. So let's talk about triggers. This is where we're kind of jumping around, and I'm not following my email like I'm supposed to. In your workbook, you have a couple of pages on triggers, okay? I would say if there's one thing that you take away from this, is the knowledge that when you're aware, okay, like when you're aware of what's going on, whatever we're doing, when we're aware, we are halfway there, okay? Like awareness is just going to, it's like being in a dark room with a little bitty flashlight and then someone turns on the lights. That's what we're going for. We're going for that kind of awareness. And triggers are one of those things that a lot of times we don't really notice them because they happen so much. Okay. So a trigger could be, triggers are oftentimes like they're either time dependent, they can be emotional dependent, they can be a person that triggers you, they can be a easy access to something, like the candy sitting on someone's desk. They can be location dependent. I mean, triggers are all over. They they are what actually, if you think about it, another way of looking at it, it's what makes life easy, right? When you get in the car and you start driving, you don't have to think about it because you now know how to drive. A trigger is kind of the same way, because if you eat ice cream at the end of the day, because that's what you do when you turn on Netflix, then now you don't have to think about it anymore because your brain has now created a pattern. Okay. Turn on Netflix, trigger, pattern happens, ice cream. And let me know if that makes sense or not sense to y'all. Okay. Because this is the thing this is where I really want to be talking today. So, so when you have a trigger, and I want y'all to help me out here. Tell me what some of your triggers are. Okay. Like, think about it. Think about, when is it that you reach for the candy, or when is it that you reach for the food you don't want to eat, or you reach for the glass of wine? When is it? I'm just going to hang out here and wait to hear, because I know people know what's going on. We're just not always aware of what's going on. Okay. Oh, awesome. Sherry said when she's bored or she's feeling lonely. Absolutely. Right? Me too. Totally. Melissa says boredom. Isn't that funny? Like, boredom is one of those things that it happens. And I think it's happening more and more because, well, if you just think about the last year and a half, for whomever it is, right? Like, yeah, I know, I get it. It's a craziness. So boredom will definitely trigger it. Who knows a trigger that happens when they're like emotionally triggered? Like, lonely is an emotional trigger. Absolutely. For me, one of my emotional triggers is I'm fixing dinner, I'm drinking my cup of tea, I'm all chill, and Phil comes in and he says some sort of random thing that I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Did you really just say that to me? And it's a trigger. Boom. First thing I'm thinking of is, I'm going to have a glass of wine while I do this. I just don't eat. And I'm like, Kelly, settle, just settle. Okay. But it's an emotional trigger that I have. Another one, I can tell you, one of my clients, I alluded to her yesterday, but she has a 3:00 Diet Coke trigger. And I, I shouldn't even tell you this because she's a fail. She's a total fail for me. I have worked with her for a year and I still can't get her to quit this habit. Because at 3:00 she gets up and, well, I guess it's changed. It has changed. It used to be she'd hit the candy in the machines, and now she's hitting the Diet Coke because she feels like that's a better option. And personally, I don't think either are a good option. So I'm trying to give her some options. But a time of day will do it. Sherry says anxiety or worrying about things. Yeah, like just worry. It's just that like nagging little thing that gets going. So TV, yeah, TV is a trigger. Like, actually, you know what? I have a story, and it's specifically for you guys. I have okay, first, do not judge me, okay? My TV watching is pretty sad. Okay. I watch Madam Secretary. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I probably Madam Secretary for my third time. I don't know. It kind of calms me down because it's just kind of the show that I can watch where I know there's not going to be a lot of violence or a lot of, there's always going to be something happy that happens. So I'm sitting there last night and I'm watching Madam Secretary because I'm just like, I'm ready to zone. It was one of those days. I'm just stopping. I'm zoning. And I've started noticing this. She's eating a bowl of ice cream, right? She's eating a bowl of ice cream. And her husband says something, and I don't know, he can't eat because he's upset. And she says, well, I eat my feelings, right? And I'm like, Sherry's raising her hand. But the truth is that like this show, they do this all the time. And it's true that they understand that we eat our feelings, right? But it's also kind of like encouraging us to eat our feelings. So, and the bottom line was, I wanted a bowl of ice cream. I don't eat ice cream. I haven't had ice cream in 5 years, probably. I'm watching her, I'm thinking, ooh, that looks good. So, right? So you just kind of like, you just want to like think of all those things, okay? You're looking for the things that, hang on just a second. I'm going to stop and I'm going to finish that statement before I answer something I just saw. You just are looking for the things that trigger you. All right. KJ over here on Facebook has just said breathing. If she's breathing, she wants sugar. Okay, that's enough. All right. Because of that comment, I want to talk about some ways to get rid of triggers. And one of them is breathing. Okay, KJ, we're turning this one on you. So this is like the simplest way. The simplest exercise I know is a breathing exercise. And when you get triggered by whatever it is, I like to just say, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 seconds to take action. Okay. Let's say that Phil has done his magic and I'm like irritated, probably a little pissed actually. So like I'm like that. And instead of taking that instantaneous action, my mind goes to, okay, you've got 10 seconds. 10 seconds before you take action. Breathe. And when I breathe, I do it very specifically. I breathe in to the count of 3. And as I'm breathing in, I say, or I think, because I can't say, I think, I breathe in peace. I breathe in bliss. I breathe in calm. It's whatever good word comes to my mind, right? I breathe in. And then as I breathe out, I breathe out upset. I breathe out stress. I breathe out anxiety. So I just do this and it's like 10 breaths, like maybe even less than 10, right? 10 seconds, 5 breaths. It's pretty simple. I'm not trying to figure out how long I'm breathing in or breathing out. None of that. What I'm doing is I'm concentrating on bringing things to me that I like. Bliss, joy, calm, clarity. Doesn't matter. Dogs. I mean, whatever makes you feel good, right? And I'm breathing out the things that don't make me feel good. So by doing that, what I do is I put myself in this momentary state of kind of like just status quo, stopping, right? And in that moment, I can make better decisions. I'm not reacting. You can do this when I do have a client that still goes to an office right now, and people in her office bring everything in. Like it's all the junk, the M&Ms, and there's always bowls of M&Ms laying around and everything. And I'm like, okay, you can have it, but you have to breathe first. And so she says she'll be walking around the office. She sees the M&Ms. She stops, goes stationary, and she does the breathing exercise for, to the count of 5. And then she's like, okay, I'm fine now. I can keep on going. I can pass away some M&Ms. So think about that. That's one of my favorite, quickest, easiest things to do. Like just do the breathing exercise. So, and KJ, I guess you're going to be doing the breathing exercise a lot. If breathing makes you want sugar. So another one is, actually, I'm going to stop for just a second. If you would, while you're going through your day-to-day, just get a Post-it note and make a mark every time you think about something that has triggered you and you do the breathing exercise. Like just make a quick mark. I'd like to hear who's got some check marks tomorrow. So breathing exercise is one. The next one is something called emotional freedom technique. Okay. And it's also called tapping. When I first learned about this, I will tell you, I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard of in my life. Okay. And it was kind of like woo-woo meets, excuse me for saying it, but woo-woo meets batshit, right? That's what I thought. But I tried it because the person who told me about it, I trusted her. And I started noticing that by using it, I would go from highly triggered to pretty darn calm, like in a place where I could go and exist well. So instead of, we don't have time for me to go through the whole training today because I don't want to like keep you guys here forever, but I'm going to tell you this. This week on my podcast, I had the chance to interview Brad Yates, and Brad is like the king of the whole tapping world. Okay. He's cool. And so I think that someone on my team will probably drop that link into the comments over on Facebook. I don't have it in front of me to put it in on Zoom, but it is just the Fit is Freedom podcast, and it's this week's episode. So the cool thing about this, on that episode at the very end, you can just like fast forward. You don't have to listen to the whole chat, but I think it's like the last 10 minutes, maybe last 8 minutes. Brad literally goes through a tapping to relieve sugar, like super specific. It was just for sugar. And he said, when we were doing the the pre-chat. He was like, you know what? I've been thinking about doing one for sugar for years and I never have. So it was kind of fun. And we will also, hang on, let me make a note real quick so I don't forget. Although I bet Nico's going to do this for me, but we have the video on YouTube so you can actually watch the tapping. And just so y'all know, like you're thinking like, what's tapping? What's EFT? Actually, anyone who's on here, let me know if they know what this is. Anyone heard of it? Sherry has. Cool. Okay. Sherry has. Awesome. So yeah. Okay. So it's strangeness meets strangeness. But what you're doing, oh, thanks, Steph. So what you're doing, just so y'all know, is basically you're following a pattern of tapping, usually on your face, right? And you're doing this number, right? And you're saying, right, Kelly? Are you really just doing that? Watch the interview. Basically, it's like acupressure. All right, like really, and I do use acupuncture for health. So it's like acupressure. So I like that. So you've got a breathing exercise for triggers. Well, first, actually, your first exercise is being aware of triggers. Okay, that's your first exercise. Start writing down when you get triggered. Then you've got a breathing exercise that you can use. Or you can tap. And sometimes you can't just be talking to someone doing this number. Okay, I get that. But you can step away and do that. The third way, and this one sounds possibly harder than it is. The third one is simply moving your attention. Okay, like if you say to someone who's super triggered, oh, just move your attention, they're probably going to give you the finger. Okay, but if you think about it, what happens when you get triggered is your brain gets in a loop. Okay. I want to eat the chocolate. I want to eat the chocolate. I want to eat the ice cream. I want to eat the ice cream. I want to drink the glass of wine, whatever it is, right? It just gets in that little like Pac-Man loop. And what you want to do is break it out of that loop. Just take it offline. And some ideas, like one way you can do it is probably my first reason for anything is go outside. Just get outside in the nature, right? Just find a place that's really beautiful and get out there. And while you're out there, either focus on what you're in, like focus on where you are. You've got to stop your brain from the chew. Focus on where you are. Or you can maybe like, I'm going to give you an example right now from me. Last Saturday morning, I got a little bit irritated. And I usually don't. Like, I'm actually pretty chill. This last year, I think I'm less chill than I used to be, but I'm usually pretty chill. But I got a little irritated about something. And I couldn't turn my brain off. It kept going, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. That wasn't right. It was the chew in the brain. And so what I did was I was on my way to go for a hike anyway. And when I got to the hike, I just put on a woman that I enjoy listening to who's, really soothing and has uplifting ideas. So I put that on and I went for the hike. So while I'm on that hike, I am not only immersing myself somewhere beautiful, I'm also listening to something that is uplifting. And after a little while, I realized that the little yak in my head had gone away. It was gone. It was a way of moving my attention. If you can't go out and go for a hike, just listen to something different. Like, I'll put on a podcast. I don't usually use music because music doesn't allow me to concentrate on something different, right? It becomes a background. So I'm listening to something that changes how I'm thinking, something uplifting. I might look at just appreciation. Like, this is a good one. So when you get in that triggered loop, what you do is go, okay, once again, fine. You can do that thing. You can be upset. You can eat the sugar. You can do all those things. But first, you have to spend 3 minutes in gratitude. Just 3 minutes. That's it. And, after 3 minutes, you just go on with your good self, right? You just do whatever you want to. What's going to happen 99% of the time is you're going to be past it. You just get past it. Okay. So that is like moving attention. You can just think about something else, like a dog with a squeaky toy, but it's better to give yourself a reason. Give yourself something to think about. Give yourself something to consider. Like give your brain, right? Give your brain something to get interested in. All right, I'm going to stop for just a second and see if there's any questions, okay? Okay, and I see, Jody, you've got one question too. I will answer that one in just a minute. How about over on Facebook? Does anyone have any questions? Or am I just so good that you guys don't have any questions? Hey, Donna. 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes is all it takes. Like if you can do something for 3 minutes, pretty much you have just changed what you were going to do. So when you do these things, y'all, this is what I really want everyone to be super aware of, because the reason I went off the campus today and started talking about triggers before I was supposed to is because this is probably the most important thing that we'll talk about. And if you can today start making those hashtags about, oh, this is when I was triggered and this is what happened and this is how I handled it, then you're going to see a couple of things that happen. Like one of them is you're going to get aware, right? And awareness, I promise, is half of everything. If you're aware, you're halfway there. And then you're also going to start thinking of ways that you can handle this. Because when we go into the whole sugar thing, the whole sugar-free thing, then you want to know that you've got an arsenal of awesomeness that's going to help, okay? Those of you who were on yesterday heard me talk about the fact that the first time I did this, I don't know, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then I just had to like white knuckle it because I wasn't thinking. I wasn't being clear. I wasn't being smart. And I wasn't making it easy. And I want this to be super easy for everyone. Okay. It can be. I promise it can be. Even if when you breathe, you think about sugar. Okay. One thing I want to talk about is tomorrow, since I'm completely off the reservation now, tomorrow I'm going to talk about soothers and visual aids, like things that make this even easier. Because if you think about it, like today is kind of all about your brain. Tomorrow is going to be all about like the physical and visual things that we can do to make this easier. Then we're going to pull it all back together on Thursday with, making the plan and, looking at if anyone still has questions about blatant sugar or hidden sugar. So that leads into Jody's question. And Jody wants to know, her question was, I want to know about fruit. Some eating plans say limit some fruit. Some people say limit all fruit. What do I think? Okay, here's what I think. And here's my 2 cents coming from me and not from someone who has lots and lots of letters behind their name. I don't think a little fruit is bad. I think if you're eating a lot of fruit, and we can talk about little and lot in a second, if you're eating a lot of fruit, then you are probably not making any changes, because you can watch your blood sugar, right, do the same thing if it's a lot of fruit. But a little bit of fruit, I like. There are some people who say if you eat your fruit green, like green bananas, green papayas, green mangoes. Yeah, right. She got the look I've got. If you eat your fruit green, then it's going to be okay. Now, I have had green papaya salad before, and it was good. But like, how are we going to go find green papayas? My feeling, Jody, is that 2 pieces. One of them is that if you eat a lot of fruit, then you're still triggering your blood sugar. Okay. If you eat a lot of fruit because you're using it as a substitution for something else that you want to eat, then it's probably, you need to watch it. But truly a little fruit, Like a little fruit isn't going to kill us, and it's healthy for us. Like blueberries, everything I've read tells me that blueberries are really good for our brains, right? I eat some blueberries in the morning. I don't eat as many as I used to. Okay. I mean, I would knock back a pint of blueberries without even thinking about it. I eat less blueberries now. But at the same time, some fruits are higher in sugar than others. Bananas are really high in sugar, which is fine for me because if anybody knows me, they know I can't stand bananas. So I can badmouth bananas all day long. But really, like, look at your fruit and go, okay, like, what kind of fruit is the high sugar fruits? I know that bananas are, some apples are, some aren't. Oh, thank you. And so, you really want to look at your fruit and go, okay, what is the fruit that I'm eating? Is it high sugar? If it is, then I need to cut back a little bit. Because in the end, what we want to do is we want to keep our sugar as low as we can for right now, especially during the 30 days. Okay, so let's see. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the physical pieces, the soothers, the visual aids, the things that are going to make this easy. We talked about mindset today. Tomorrow's about action. Please do me a favor, scroll down and let me know what your triggers are, because I want to hear them. It helps me. I mean, just flat out because it's good for me to know what your triggers are, but also it's because it's good for me to know what else is going on, so that I can work with you guys exactly where you are. Okay. And then do remember, I'm just going to throw this out real quick and then we're going to jump off. But I did get an email from someone yesterday, and what she said that, you know what, I've tried this before. Basically, she said, thanks for having this, but I'm not going to do it. I've tried this before and it didn't work. In fact, every time I've tried, and I've got it in front of me, every time I've tried to stop sugar, I have failed. And I just don't want to fail anymore. And the truth is that a lot of times when we try things, we're not perfect. Okay. Like, first time out on most things, we're not perfect. And a lot of it is the expectations we put on ourselves. Like, if you have the expectation that you're not going to be able to do this perfectly, then you might as well not even try. No. That doesn't work in life. Like, you want to be like, I'm going to do it, Mike. I'm going to give it 100%. And if something happens and I don't quite hit 100%, then you know what? That's fine. I'll do it again and I'll hit 100%. So please don't let the fact that this maybe didn't work for you before not do it now. I can promise you, the first time I did this, it was brutal. And it was because I didn't really apply everything that I've learned from all the years of working with all the women I've worked with on how to make, being consistent in exercise easy, how to make, doing the things that you want to do easy. So stick with me. All right. And then if anyone has anything they'd like to add, either add it now or drop it into an email to me. I'll be checking the Facebook group later. And please tell your friends, the ones that are here too. I will redo this again this evening. And I will also take questions and answers. So if you've got a question that you want to throw out tonight, put it in the group. Come on and join us again. I'm here at 6 o'clock. And otherwise, have a wonderful day. And thank you all so very much for being here. See you. Bye-bye now.